Hey, good Wednesday morning. Welcome back to GBN Live. I'm Todd Cartner, your host. And today we have with us Tracy Hansen with Exit Coast Real Estate Pros. She's one of our realtors and one of our chapters. And we're going to get her on here and talk about real estate in just a moment. We want to thank our sponsor, Grand Strand Law Group. They have offices in Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach. They do real estate law and wills and trust as well, and you can reach them at 843-492-5422 or online at GBN. Look at that, at grandstrandlawgroup.com. So today's guest again is Tracy Hansen, and don't forget to give permission to Facebook so that we can view your comments. You can do that by going to StreamYard.com/Facebook. If you have any questions for today's guest or for GBN, make sure you type them in the comments, and we'll get them live on air. GBN Live is next. All right, guys, welcome back. We have with us Tracy Hansen with Exit Coast Real Estate Pros, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about real estate. So, hi, Tracy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome back to the show. I know we had a little break there because of our technical difficulties.
We did have a break.
Yeah, but we're glad to have you back. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your family, that kind of stuff.
Well, originally I am from Eastern Long Island, and we've been here about 10 years now. Before that, we left Long Island, went to Orlando, Florida for a few years, and then came here. My husband's in resort management, so we were there outside of Disney. Then we came up this way with the same company, and we love it. We've been here ever since. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she's starting to drive, so that's a new experience for us all.
Yeah.
But so we've been here about 10 years now.
I will tell you, having older children, it is a blessing, though, when they do drive, because that way it saves you a lot of time.
Yeah, and I have to say, there are times when I'm like, oh, I'm glad I don't have to go pick her up right now. She has the car, you know.
Right. Especially during volleyball practice. Right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah,
well, cool.
Still good.
But tell us a little bit about the market and how it's going along the Grand Strand right now. I know that things have changed a lot over the last year, but how do you think the market's going right now?
You know, I mean, it's such a multifaceted question, but it's going good. We are seeing a change. We are seeing a shift right now from, for these last few years, we've been in a seller's market, pretty strongly. And I am seeing definitely a trend now towards a more balanced market. We're seeing homes are on the market a little longer, so that's up. Their days on the market has been going up, as well as our months of inventory, also known as an absorption rate. So that's been going up as well. So those two things indicate that we are kind of trending towards that balanced market. I mean, condos are already there. Single-family residences are getting close to being balanced. So, I mean, it really is a great time if you are thinking of selling your house. I would say now's the time to do it, because we don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. The market is trending more towards balance. Things are taking a little longer to sell now. So people, they have the last few years in mind, but we are seeing a change.
And with that information, if you are in a hurry to sell your home, you probably need to get listed sooner than later, because, like you said, they're staying on the market a little bit longer.
Yes.
And if you are selling it, you need to expect that too.
Yes.
Don't think, my agent's not doing their job. It's going to take a little bit longer to get it.
Right, and that's what I mean when I say, people think about the last few years, thinking it's like that now, but it's not. We're not seeing the multiple offers and the quick turnaround and the quick sales like we did a couple years back. But, I mean, that's the nature of the beast, It's cyclical.
Life happens, and then real estate happens.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So is there a particular area in Horry County or even Georgetown County, because I know you cover both, that you see is growing faster than others?
I mean, all of it. We're growing a lot. You know what I am seeing, which is interesting? A lot of new building going in areas that are more rural, more inland a little bit, where you didn't see that before, and now I am, so we're seeing a lot of new home communities going up in those areas, and of course what that means is more industry will come into those areas, and more communities, and then more shops, and more doctor's offices and all that kind of stuff, and that's growth.
We just need more roads.
Yeah, we just need more roads. I mean, it kind of just keeps going inland a little bit, but I mean, there's only so much land over out here at the beach.
That is so true. I see Skylar's watching us. Hey, Skylar, he says GBN rocks, and yes, it does. Glad you joined us today. I've been here for it'll be 35 years this September, and I never thought I would see a subdivision going up in Aner, which is about the furthest area in the county from the beach, if you're not familiar. But on the other side of that is Gallivan's Ferry, and there's even subdivisions going up there. What scares me about that is all that's farmland, and that's going away, and we've got to be careful with that because we rely on the farmers out there to.
Yes, we need our farmers. That's for sure.
So how do you, on average, what do you think the prices of homes have gone up with single family and with condos or townhomes?
I've seen more of a jump with condos this year, so I think they're kind of just catching up to the single family residences, which had such a quick jump up that now that's kind of bouncing out, slowed down a little bit, still increasing. I mean, single family is probably about 4-ish% over last year, but I've noticed with condos, you're looking at about 10% growth over the last year. The bad thing about the condos and townhomes, though, is their insurance has gone. It's just stupid. I mean, some of them have tripled. Yep.
I had a guy on last week, and we were talking. He's in insurance, and he was talking about that market may be changing to where they're going to allot in insurance for a roof every 10 years or 12 years, as opposed to, I've got hail damage, let's replace the roof, and they're going to cover it.
Right.
It's not going to be like that anymore. They're looking at, it's just going to be a 10, 12 years. Now you get your roof replaced.
You get one,
period, and be done with it.
Yeah.
I think that may be actually a better way to go.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I mean, insurance has just spiked.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems out there.
That is true. That is exactly true. So, do you think new home construction has slowed down a little bit?
No. I think new home construction is going strong. We still have low inventory for the resales, and a lot of that is the new home construction is kind of taking up a bunch of buyers there. But
resale pricing is a lot of times based, in part at least, by new home construction, what that's selling for, and it's hard for a.
What about your comps?
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's hard for a builder to sell the same exact house, especially in what we call a cookie cutter neighborhood. It's hard for them to justify selling a house in phase 2 for less money than what they did in phase 1 for the exact same house.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that.
Yeah.
So you don't see the new home prices coming down.
No.
When that happens. So they're only going to keep going up. They may stabilize and be the same in phase 2 as they were in phase 1, but they're not going to come back down in price.
No.
So
they offer different incentives, though, and they kind of make up for that a little bit. And a lot of times you can get a good interest rate, better interest rate than you could get if you use theirs, So they kind of try to make up for it a little bit that way. But yeah, the prices aren't coming down.
Sure.
That's for sure.
What do you suggest to someone if I came to you and I said, hey, I'm looking to buy a house? Do you recommend a resale or a new construction home? What do you?
Depends on what they're looking for. There's pros and cons to both, and it also depends on affordability. And their interest rates, and if they're financing, and where they want to be. But that's personal preference, really.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you tell a client if based on your research or comps that you pulled, that house is just way overpriced, or just they love the home or the property, whether it's a condo, townhome, or whatever, but it's just way overpriced? What do you tell them?
Well, I mean that's a big conversation because there's a lot that goes into it. Like you say, they love the home. If this is their neighborhood that they want to be in, and so sometimes emotion sometimes costs a little money.
I love that.
If you really want to be there and you don't want anyone else to get that house, you might have to pay a little bit. Now, keep in mind, if you're financing, there's an appraisal that has to happen too.
Right.
So you're not going. If you're financing and it's contingent on your appraisal, you have to go by that as well.
Or you have to put more money down.
Or you have to put more
want
money
to pay off
down,
that
exactly. But if somebody's like, gosh, I just really love this house, and I say, oh, that's kind of high, it's too high. It's good chance it's new to market. A lot of people, not a strategy that I like to use, but a lot of people come new to market and they want to price it high and say, well, let's just see what happens. I can tell you what's going to happen. We're going to talk about it in about a month or 6 weeks,
Right,
so a lot of times if a buyer is really looking at that house and they love it and it's new to market, I say, let's give it a couple weeks and let's see what happens. And maybe then the seller also may be more apt to talk about, taking a lower offer.
Right. I think that one of the keys that you need to consider, or a buyer needs to consider, is what is your long-term goal here?
Right.
Are you planning on staying in the house for 2 or 3 years? Because if you are, you don't need to pay overpriced, because then you're not going to get it when you turn around and sell it. If you know that you're going to be there for 10, 12 years because you want your kids to finish school in that neighborhood or whatnot, then it may be a risk worth taking, because you know you're going to be able to sell it, because house prices just,
Right.
They do fluctuate a little bit, but over time they do go up. So it may be worth paying that overprice if it has everything you need and you're ready to move forward.
Right,
So,
and that's part of that conversation. Like I said, it's a big conversation, because what's that buyer's motivation? What's their time frame?
Right.
Do they have a couple months to wait?
They may not. You're right. Exactly right. You may need to move right now.
So there's a lot that goes into that. A lot of factors to that.
That's cool. Well, guys, stick with us. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk about is now a good time to buy or sell, and we're going to discuss that and some other things with Tracy. So stick with us. GBN Live will be right back.
Hi, I'm Justice Ann. I've been a canine liaison at Grand Strand Law Group for, 30 years? What's that? You don't believe me? I meant 30 dog years, of course. First rule of lawyering, read the fine print. Anywho, my humans at Grand Strand Law Group have a combined 20 years experience. I know, not as much as me, but that's in people years. So yeah, still pretty impressive. Real estate, estate planning, or probate, you need GSLG.
Grand Strand Law Group. Trust us, we have a dog.
Great Business Networking grew out of the idea that by creating lasting friendships within the community, we can make the community even better.
I was looking to network with professionals and to be able to refer my clients to somebody that I trust.
Well, it's really important to trust the members of the group, because we really generate quality referrals, and to know somebody, be friends with them, and get that qualified referral is the key to success.
It is networking, but it doesn't feel like networking, and that is important to me. I come to the meetings, I have fun, I make great connections, and I help grow my business.
GBN, these are some of the best professionals in the market, and having that resource available to me, that's priceless.
Well, GBN is a network of business professionals that build long-lasting friendships that will not only grow my business, will grow yours as well. That's what referral marketing is all about.
GBN really is the most important marketing for your business. Check us out today.
All right, folks, welcome back to GBN Live. I'm Todd Cartner, your host, and today we have with us Tracy Hansen with Exit Coast Real Estate Pros. We want to thank our sponsor, Grand Strand Law Group. You can visit them in Myrtle Beach or North Myrtle Beach, or online at grandstrandlawgroup.com, or you can call them at 843-492-5422. They want to be your trusted choice. And remember, if you have any questions for today's guest or for me, make sure you type them in the comments and we'll try to get those live on air. You can get permission to StreamYard by going to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Today's guest again is Tracy Hansen with Exit Coast Real Estate Pros, and welcome back, Tracy.
Thank you.
So, what factors should a person consider right now if they're looking to sell their home?
So, if you're looking to sell your house, or you're thinking about selling your house this spring, I would definitely get on it sooner than later. We tend to see a little bit of an uptick in activity in the springtime.
Sure.
So you want to get out in front of that, instead of chasing behind it, so to speak. But I would say start prepping. So people don't realize that it's probably going to take you a little bit of time to prep your house. You have to get that house ready to be on the market. You just can't turn around and say, okay, today my house is for sale. You have people coming in to see it. You want to declutter. You want to mulch your front beds. You want to trim your bushes. You want to make it look good. Paint the front door if it needs to be painted. Touch up the bathrooms with paint, things like that. Go through it, clean it, deep clean, please. And get it ready. And then you're ready to go. And so I would say if you're thinking about selling your house, start doing those things now.
I was looking at some tips the other day on selling your home and stuff. And, excuse me, one of the simple things that doesn't cost a lot is painting just your baseboards. Yeah. If you can't afford to paint your whole home or don't have the time to paint your whole home, just painting your baseboards goes a long way in making the house look better.
Yep. It brightens it up a little bit, and it gives that feeling of being well cared for. And that's what you want to portray to a buyer, that you take care of your house, because then this way they feel confident buying your house.
Right. Put a thin layer of mulch outside to make the yard look nicer and more appealing.
Yep.
Because people buy with their eyes. Yep. They do.
Yep. So. Paint your mailbox. You know how many mailboxes look like crap?
I saw a YouTube video one time that this guy he videotaped it because he thought it was funny, but the mailman put a note on the box, said, "Please replace your mailbox." Yeah. He got called out on that. That's for sure. So let's switch to the buying process. Mm-hmm. What's the first thing that somebody should do if they're looking to buy? What's the first step?
First step is to speak to a lender. You have to see what you can afford. And with affordability kind of changing with interest rates and high interest rates on credit cards, so now you have more payments going out, so your affordability can change. So I would say speak to a lender, and also speak to a lender because there's so many programs out there with help with your down payment if you need it, first home buyer programs. So definitely even, VA or first responder teacher programs, you can maybe get in on something that you weren't aware of, and it may increase what you can afford. So.
Yeah. I was speaking to a lender the other day, and they were telling me about a program that if you have at least 50% equity in your property, then you can actually get a loan that they don't pull any of your information. They don't even pull your bank statements. They don't pull your tax returns. They don't pull anything. They do pull your credit because they want to make sure that your debt to income ratio is in line. But that's it. That's all you need. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. That's an interesting loan that I haven't heard about, and I thought that was neat.
Yeah.
So you're right. So your lender's going to look for your debt to income ratio, how much money you have coming out or coming in versus how much you have going out. They're going to want to see your tax returns on most of the time. They're going to want to see your bank statements. They're going to want to see what your credit card payments are. They're going to have to look at your insurance and what that's going to be going forward, because they've gone up so much that could really throw you out of. Yep. But the most important thing is they're going to tell you how much home you can afford.
Right.
And so that saves you time as a realtor of going out and not looking at the $750,000 houses if they can only afford $150,000. So you don't want to waste your time.
Right. Part of my job is asking that buyer, have you spoken to it?
Right, that's right. So what are you hearing about the interest rates? Are they going up or down?
Well, it's funny. I was just speaking with Dan Dixon with Legendary Mortgage about this just recently. And, it's almost more of what you're not hearing. And what we're not hearing is the Fed's talking about a rate cut. Right. Now, when they do that, they don't cut the interest, the mortgage rates directly. That affects the bond market, which drives, the mortgage rates. And the bond market's driven by inflation.
Right.
And I haven't heard much talk about inflation going down. I mean, I'm still hitting me hard in the grocery store. So, like I said,
I saw a report the other day. It says it's up 17%.
Crazy, right?
That is crazy.
And I don't hear any talk about that going down. I don't hear any talk about the Fed's cutting rates. And, quite honestly, they could even tick up a little bit. Which is, again, now's the time. Right. We don't know what's going to happen in the summer.
Well, what's scary, and I'm not getting political here because we don't do that on this show, but typically in the spring of a election year, a presidential election year, the interest rates come down because
Yes.
the person that's in office wants to stay in office, so they keep that interest, or they start doing things like that that shows good faith. It makes the inflation rate come down and things like that. There's a lot of things that, but we're not seeing that, and that is concerning.
Yeah, I was actually, when I was speaking with Dan, we were talking about maybe look for that after the summer, maybe September-ish or something like that, because then we're right before the election. They might want to, throw in the last card there and get some rates down. But typically also in the summertime, people are on vacation, kids are off from school. People aren't paying as much attention to that.
That's true.
Come September, they're going to start paying attention to that because they have a decision to make come election day.
That's true.
So maybe look for that then, but I'm not hopeful that rates are coming down now or over the summer. But you can still get a decent rate. Dan was telling me he can still get in the 6s,
Right.
So you can still, if you have the right lender, if you have the right program, and another thing, when you speak to a lender too, you may not be where you want to be, but they may have a few simple things you can do to get to where you want to be.
You can be where you are.
Right. So plan now. Like I said, the time is now.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly right. Tomorrow's too late.
Tomorrow's too late.
So let's go back to the buyer process here. So we've spoken with the lender. What's the next thing that they need to do? What do they need to consider if they're getting ready to buy a home?
Well, then I would speak to a realtor.
Yeah.
I would find a realtor that you like working with, and it's okay to speak to a few. Find someone that you kind of get along with well and can speak to, and they communicate the way you communicate, and and then kind of talk about, especially if you're not from this area. We do get a lot of people who aren't from this area buying, and so they don't know the areas a lot.
Right.
So that's why I would say speak to a realtor. Tell them what you like to do. If you're a homebody and you don't go out that much, you may not need to be in the middle of all the action.
Right.
Sure. But if that's where you want to be, you need to speak to a realtor where you want to be, what's your time frame, are you going to look for the next year because it's a second home, or are you moving here in 2 months, so.
Well, that brings up a good point. So everybody knows a realtor.
Yep. Everybody's neighbor's cousin is a realtor.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly right. But realtors, as you know, come and go all the time. So when a real estate agent comes and goes, it's like when the market gets hot, everybody wants to be a realtor. And then when the market gets down, everybody pulls out. So they're coming and going all the time. What do you, if I'm looking for a realtor, what advice would you give me?
I would say speak to your neighbors, speak to your friends, anyone in the area that may have used a realtor or whose neighbor's cousin may be a realtor, and just kind of get that word of mouth, because really that's your best recommendation is your word of mouth, your referral, so, and that I, as a realtor, like getting that, because I said, oh, you worked with my client, or you're friends with my client from 3 years ago, and I feel like I had that connection already.
Right, sure.
So if you're looking for a realtor, because there are so many, I would just kind of ask around. Or even, you can go on the Facebook groups that, you may be part of and say, hey, has anyone, used a good realtor, right?
And you'll get 60,000 responses. 60,000. In the first 3 minutes.
But if 20,000 of those are the same person,
that's true.
Then you might want to consider
that's
that.
True.
But I would say and talk to a few. It's fine to talk to a few realtors. I'm not offended by that.
Yeah. It's just like any business. You have to sell yourself.
Right.
But also, I think what's important is looking at what that realtor offers. Are they going to put a sign in your yard and stick it on the MLS and be done with it? Or are they going to do?
Right.
Are they going to take pictures with their cell phone and take them, like this up instead of sideways, which makes it look completely different?
You don't want somebody who just posts and prays.
Right. Post and pray. I love that.
You want somebody, and you can ask too, can I see some samples of your past listings? Can I see samples of the pictures that you had? Or, I can't tell you how many times I go in the MLS and there's incorrect information, or
sure,
a few, lame pictures, or this or that. You want somebody, so ask to see samples, And
something I've seen a lot lately is Zillow is taking listings for sale and they're turning them into rentals on Zillow. So be careful out there when you see that. I don't know why that has been happening, but I've seen it several times this year already. So that's kind of weird. And don't be careful on Facebook Marketplace too, because people will go on there and take the photos from the MLS or from the listing, and they'll turn around and make it a rental, and they want you to email them or Cash App or Venmo them the deposit. Don't ever do that.
Don't ever do that.
Ever.
No, don't do that.
Anyway, guys, if you want to get in touch with Tracy, you can reach her at 843-957-4981. That's 957-4981, or you can get her at tracyhansen.realtor.
Yes.
There you go. So, Tracy, before we go, we got to always ask this question. Tell us what referral networking means to you and why you chose to be a part of GBN.
Well, I mean, it works. I'll tell you that. It works. That's why. Because I've been a member of GBN now for, I'd say, a little over a year, and I get quality referrals, and I have a network of people that I can call. I recently, needed an electrician for a client. I got it through GBN. If I need an HVAC, I can get that through my GBN chapter. I mean, I joke around. I say, you know what? I got a guy.
I know a guy. Right.
So, and it's
you
great.
You can say that with a Long Island accent. I got a guy.
I got a guy. So it works. It's worked for me in many different ways. So, I'm very happy with it. Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's about referrals, because if you know somebody, if you like them, if you trust them, you'll refer them, and then there's just people are comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's funny because I was speaking to a member the other day, and they said we do this every day, whether we realize it or not. If somebody walks up to a lady and says, "Oh my God, your hair looks great today. Who did it?" It's Tina down at the beauty shop, or whatever. Or you're out in your neighborhood and one of your neighbors walks by and says, "Hey man, your yard looks amazing. Who did it for you?"
Yep.
Well, I use ABC Landscaping, and they do it. And so we do this every single day, whether we know it or not. GBN is just a structured environment to do that in. So, Tracy, thanks so much for joining us today. And guys, thank you for watching. And stick around, because in a few moments, we're going to switch seats. Stick around and see what that's about. Thank you for watching today. We'll see you next time.
Hi, thank you for joining us today at GBN Live. I'm Tracy Hansen, your host, and with me today is Todd Cartner, the man of GBN.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to do this, Todd. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about GBN today. But before we get going, let's give permission to Facebook so we can show your comments online, and you can do that by going to StreamYard.com/Facebook. And if you have any questions for today's guest, you can type them in the comments section, and we will answer them live on air. As I said, today is Todd Cartner, and he is our Executive Director with GBN. So stay tuned. GBN Live is next. All right, well, welcome back. We are here with Todd Cartner. Welcome, Todd. How does it feel to be sitting on that side?
It does feel different. I was just thinking that. It feels a little weird, but
I know. It is a little strange to be on that side. But we're so glad you could join us today.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people that ask out here and about what GBN's all about, and I'm like, let's do a show on it.
Yeah.
That way we can kind of send it to them and let them see what we're about.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. It's been fantastic too. I've been totally happy with being a member of GBN, so it's been great. So before we get into GBN, tell us a little bit about Todd.
Sure.
Where are you from? How'd you end up here?
Sure. So I'm originally from a little town called Mocksville, North Carolina, where it's right between Winston-Salem and Statesville area. And been here for 35 years this coming September.
Wow.
And I was a manager with Walmart, which is kind of weird. But because I would never do that today, but I was, and they actually transferred me down here to open a store and move help move the store from 38th Avenue North to 79th Avenue North, and now that one's even closed down, and they've moved it up to Kings Road. But I was here with Walmart and started that part, and then I didn't love it. I didn't love doing that kind of stuff. So I went and did my passion, and I worked in the EMS and the ambulance service, and started with Horry County EMS years ago. But and then in 2001, EMS and the fire department merged together. So I became a nozzle jockey and became a firefighter, and finished up my career in 2009. And then opened up a marketing firm and did very well with that. And then it sold. And then I did like all the other idiots in the world and became a realtor.
There you go.
So yeah, that's it. But I have two great kids. I have a 22-year-old son and an 18-year-old daughter. And
so they're out and about on their own pretty much.
Just about. My 18-year-old's getting ready to go to college.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an empty nest there for a while. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, you have your dogs, right?
I do have my two huskies and a cat that thinks it's a dog.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
So you have a little company. Well, let's talk about GBN. How did GBN get started? How did it come to this area? Where did this all come about?
Sure. Well, a lot of people think I started it, and I didn't. GBN started down in Charleston, South Carolina in 2011, and it was started by a guy named Alan Thompson. And Alan owned a marketing firm, ironically. And he did very well. He said, I've got a couple of clients that could do business together. So he got together with them, and before you know it, they started growing, and they basically formed their first chapter. And so he said, well, this model's working. Let's open up more. And so before COVID, they ended up getting, I think the number was around 25, 27 chapters. They were in the Charleston, South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina. And then COVID hit, and just like us representing other businesses and working with other businesses, their businesses were affected, which in turn affected GBN. And during COVID, unfortunately, we had downsized to just 4 chapters, around 47 to 48 members, somewhere around there. I used to belong to another networking group, and as a realtor, it's very hard to get in. That's one of the most popular seats in any networking organization. And there was a wait list to get into that other group. So I couldn't do it. So I said, well, I need to find something that I can do. And I found GBN, and I went to start my chapter up here in Myrtle Beach. And this was kind of at the end of COVID in the spring of 21. And so Alan gave me the information to start my chapter. And a couple days before I was to start my chapter, he reached out to me and to the other chapter leaders in the other 4 chapters and said, I just can't do this anymore. I'm trying to build my company back. I don't have time to build GBN as well. So long story short, I ended up taking over in May of 2021. And today we're up to 54 chapters and
Amazing.
Just around 900 members. So yeah.
That's growth.
It is over 900% in 2023.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so you started just opening up a chapter.
Exactly, that's exactly it. And to be honest with you, that was my goal, was to open a chapter here and help support the 4 chapters down in Charleston. And that was all I wanted to do. But, it didn't take long to where one of our members in my chapter said their situation had changed and they could no longer meet on Wednesday mornings. They wanted to know if they could start a chapter on Thursday mornings. I'm like, sure, I guess, and then it just snowballed from there.
Did it take you by surprise how fast the growth?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
It really.
But and I want to get into this a little bit later. I don't want to take up all your questions here, but there's some reasons for that too.
Yeah.
So I'd like to share those.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So the basis of GBN is referral networking.
Sure.
What, for people who don't exactly know, we know what it is because we're doing it. What is referral networking in a nutshell?
Well, referral networking is when somebody refers you to a friend or family member that knows your services. One of our little mottos here at GBN is to get to know, like, and trust each other. And we do that automatically every day, whether we realize it or not. And that can be from somebody looking at you and saying, oh my gosh, your hair looks great today. Who did it for you? It was Jill down at the barbershop or beauty shop or whatever. If your lawn looks great and somebody wants to compliment you there and they want to know who did it, that kind of stuff. If your vehicle got detailed, it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. Who built your beautiful house? We refer people all the time. So we are not, this is something I do want to make sure that everybody understands, we are not a lead generation. So as a realtor, you know that online leads suck. They always say they suck, they're horrible, because you get people that say, well, I never filled out that form. I'm not looking for a home. I bought a house 3 months ago. I'm not. So leads are primarily horrible. We want to know that person, who they're looking for, and who we can fit them in with. And if I'm going to refer to you someone to buy a house, I've already spoken with them and know that their time frame, how many baths, what area they're looking for. Don't usually try to get into the budget part of it. But I know enough about them that when I refer them to you, that you're 95% closed, your foot's already in the door, and all you got to do is go in there and close it, and it's done.
And I know it's a serious lead.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you structure GBN then to facilitate that?
So we are structured very similar to the Chamber of Commerce. Okay. We are a 501c6 business nonprofit. What that means is you can't give us a check for $1 million. Well, you can give us a check for $1 million, and we'll cash it, okay? But you can't take it off on your taxes. So we are a 501c6 is a business membership-driven type organization, similar to a chamber, the National Association of Realtors. It even goes into the NFL Players Association, their 501c6 business. So we have a board of directors that kind of govern the organization, and then I, as the executive director, run the day-to-day operations.
Gotcha. So where are these chapters located that have, there's so many of them now? Are they all right here in Myrtle Beach?
Well, we're based in Myrtle Beach. That's our headquarters. And we have 18 chapters along the Grand Strand. And we started expanding. So we had the 4 down in Charleston. We're up to 7 in Charleston now. Then we expanded next into the Florence area. So we have several chapters around the PD. We went up to Greenville. We've got several chapters up in that market. We just opened one in Anderson, South Carolina. So right now we're only in South Carolina, but we have been approved to go into 5 additional states. So that we've already got, I think, 14 chapters that are interested in starting that we're working with now to get them open in the 5 other states. And those are North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and New York.
Oh, gotcha. All the way up in New York, too. Wow.
Rochester.
Oh, all the way up in New York.
Can't go much further north. Mobile, Alabama, so you can't go much further south. So,
That's awesome. All right, well, we're going to take a short break, and after the commercial break, I'd like to talk a little bit about the benefits of GBN.
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Justice Ann. I've been a canine liaison at Grand Strain Law Group for, 30 years? What's that? You don't believe me? I meant 30 dog years, of course. First rule of lawyering, read the fine print. Anywho, my humans at Grand Strain Law Group have a combined 20 years experience. I know, not as much as me, but that's in people years. So yeah, still pretty impressive. Real estate, estate planning, or probate, you need GSLG.
Grand Strand Law Group. Trust us, we have a dog.
Great business networking grew out of the idea that by creating lasting friendships within the community, we can make the community even better.
I was looking to network with professionals and to be able to refer my clients to somebody that I trust.
Well, it's really important to trust the members of the group because we really generate quality referrals, and to know somebody, be friends with them, and get that the qualified referral is the key to success.
It is networking, but it doesn't feel like networking, and that is important to me. I come to the meetings, I have fun, I make great connections, and I help grow my business.
GBN, these are some of the best professionals in the market, and having that resource available to me, that's priceless.
Well, GBN is a network of business professionals that build long-lasting friendships that will not only grow my business, will grow yours as well. That's what referral marketing is all about.
GBN really is the most important marketing for your business. Check us out today.
All right, well, welcome back to GBN Live. I'm your host, Tracy Hansen, and today we have a very special guest. We have Todd Cartner with GBN. So before we get started on that, I would like to thank our sponsor, Grand Strand Law Group. You can reach them at 843-492-5422. They have offices in Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach. And you can also reach them online at grandstrandlawgroup.com, and they are ready to be your trusted advisor. If you have questions for GBN or for Todd today, please type them in the comments section, and we will do our best to get them answered on air. So, welcome back. Welcome back, Todd.
Thank
Are you
you.
ready for the second half here?
Sure.
All right. I would like to talk about, I already know, but I'd like to talk a little bit about the benefits of GBN. I've definitely benefited from GBN, but tell everyone, who isn't part of GBN, what it has for them.
I think the first thing that we need to establish is what most networking organizations do. And most networking organizations get together weekly or some monthly. Or bi-weekly. I don't find that as beneficial, because then you forget about that meeting and you don't show up. So if you are top of mind and you meet weekly, then you get the most out of it. So we meet weekly just like everybody else does. But how we differ is that most other networking organizations stop there. That's all they offer. At GBN, we have monthly after hours to where all the chapters within a market can get together and network together. That helps in a couple ways. Number one is it helps that you can find more members for your chapter. So if, for example, you have an HVAC company in another chapter, but you don't in your chapter, then you can talk to that person and say, hey, we are looking for someone in our chapter, and they could easily send somebody there. So it helps you grow your chapter. The ideal, what we have found is the ideal chapter size is 16 to 18 members. Once you get to there, your referrals will triple versus just 10 members. And so we really want to get those members to there. So part of running a networking organization and a chapter is that you got to grow your members base so that you get those referrals coming in regularly. So some of the other benefits that we have is we have membership discounts to Office Depot and CleverRx. Office Depot, if it's an Office Depot label, so if it's their brand of the product, you can save 20, 30, sometimes 40%, depending on what it is. But we are unlike the chamber discount, which is great, but we are on the U.S. government discount. So that means that we also get discounts on computers, on furniture, on printers, and things like that the chamber doesn't. And so that helps give our members back there. And I really want to talk about the prescription discount. We had a member up in one of our Florence chapters that she called me and she said, you got to hear this story. She said, one day my husband was at Walmart getting his prescription filled, and it went from $417 a month to $572 a month. And he called her and he said, we just can't afford this. He said, it's expensive. He said, we can't afford it. So they hung up the phone, and a few minutes later, she said, wait a minute, GBN has a prescription discount. So she screenshotted that discount, and she sent it to him on the phone and said, here, try this and see if it works. And he goes up to the cashier, she rings it up, scans the barcode. It went down to $12 a month.
Wow.
So that's a huge savings. And then on the other end, I had another member, I won't say where this one's from, But she came up to me and she said, we need to talk about this discount for the prescription. And I said, okay. She said, I've got a prescription and mine cost me $1,000 a month and it only saved me $40. I'm like, well, that's great. And she said, what do you mean? It was only $40. I'm like, I understand, but 40 times 12.
Right.
I said, that's $480 a year that it's saving you, which is more than what your membership is. And so that was a huge benefit that she kind of like, wow, you're right. I didn't think of it that way, you know. So that's one of our benefits as well. We're active in the community. We do different community events here locally. We do the Sockasty Heritage Festival. You know, we have business expos that are out there that we do. So we are out in the community to promote GBN, but also our members. So we promote us as well. And we've been around long enough that we're actually getting people that are going to our website to look up services, kind of like an Angie's List type thing, that are looking for members that are not even members of GBN. That's powerful. That's real powerful.
Yeah.
You know. So, and then lastly, we have GBN Live. You know, so you have to be a member to be on the show, but this is a great way to promote you and your company.
Yeah, it really is. I've noticed on some members' websites, they'll have their episode of GBN Live right there on their website, and it's a great way. It's a great tool to show a customer or client, you know, who you really are.
Right, and I've even seen some realtors that have taken the show and they email the show out to their client if you get a referral from somewhere out of town. And they don't know you. This is a non-sales environment. Right. And they get to really know who you are as a person.
Yep. That's definitely very beneficial. Well, I'm sure people who are listening to that are thinking, all right, that sounds pretty good. How do I join GBN?
Right.
How do you join GBN?
So the first thing we want to do is our membership is based on the individual, not the company. So I said one of our mottos in the beginning is we want to know, like, and trust you. Our philosophy is friends first, business second. And what that means is the friends part is we want to get to know, like, and trust you. So once we do that and we become good friends, the business is going to come automatically. So in order for you to become a member, we first ask that you visit that chapter because the members, every chapter is different. We have some chapters that are made up primarily of white-collar businesses, and not everybody will fit into that. But we also have some chapters that are predominantly blue-collar workers, and not every person will fit into that. So the good news is the majority of our chapters is a good mixture of both. So we want to make sure that you fit in with the chapter. So we ask that you visit there first, and then our membership director in that chapter will tell you your next steps, and that's where you basically go online and apply, and then you register and pay. So.
Very good. Yeah. So I definitely agree with that, going and visiting, you know, a chapter, visit one and visit another, you know, in the area and see where you feel, you know, you'd be a good
We do allow you to visit one chapter twice, or you can visit two chapters once. By that time, you would know what we're about, and we do ask you to join at that point.
Right, which is only fair. You know, because it's fair to the members who have paid to be there.
Exactly.
You know.
And I'll tell you one of the other benefits of GBN, and this is something that I really, really am happy to announce because our board of directors truly believe in our members. We want to back up our members and everything else. Our membership fee is $295 a year, and there's a one-time setup fee of $50. So that $295, our board has made the decision that if you join at $295 or whatever rate you join at, you are locked into there as long as you stay a member. So your rate will never go up, never. And so
that's a great perk.
It's a huge perk because now if you leave and you come back, that's kind of on you. But as long as you stay a member, your membership dues will never increase. And you know, I know of other networking organizations who, in my opinion, have almost priced themselves out of business because, you know, it's very hard to make that decision. We have members that have problems with making the $295, and I understand that, but you also have to look as this is an investment. And I would say there are very, very, very few members of our networking organization have not made back that very quickly.
Right, and you can make it back like very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, depending, and it's not really that much. You have a couple referrals. As a realtor, I have one referral and I've made it back.
Exactly.
You know, so it's definitely affordable. And you're investing in, it is an investment, and you're investing in yourself. which, I mean, that's the best investment you can make, you know?
Right. And you can take that off on your taxes because that is a subscription or a membership fee that you're paying. So you can take that off on your tax.
Right.
Not as a donation to a nonprofit, like I said, but as a membership fee.
Yeah. So you had mentioned, and I know this personally, you had mentioned that realtors hold, you know, it's a popular spot to hold. So if you are a realtor or someone else who, you know, insurance or something that's popular like that, you might have a hard time finding a group that's already established and joining it because they probably already have a realtor, they probably already have a lender, they probably already have an HVAC, you know, all these popular seats. So in that case, you would probably have to start your own chapter. What goes into doing that? Because if you are a realtor and you're like, well, there's nowhere for me, don't just give up.
Sure.
You know.
Well, first let's talk about, and I always like to share this information because it's important when you go to start a chapter. Because these are the first positions you need to look for. Mm-hmm. We've identified the top 10 seats that are most sought after in our chapters. This does not mean they make the most money, they get or pass the most referrals. None of that information. It just means that those are the top 10 most held seats in our organization. Right. Realtor is up there, and these are in no particular order. A mortgage lender, a real estate attorney. Then we break down the insurance categories. Right. We have life insurance, property and casualty insurance, health insurance. We have commercial insurance that's there. Then we have an HVAC company. We have a banking that does like personal loans, auto loans, that kind of stuff. We have pest control. And those are our top 10 seats. So if you can't get into a chapter and you're in one of those top 10 seats, we recommend that you start a chapter.
Right.
Now, we don't typically limit the number of chapters we can put, but however, we do get to the point in a particular market that we are pretty much tapped out there because we don't want to open a chapter just to open a chapter. We want to make sure that chapter can grow to at least 16 to 18 members. So if you are in one of those seats and you want to start a chapter, you just reach out to us at support@gbnonline.com.
Okay.
And then we will help you with the next steps. The first thing that we do is we book what's called a first call, and that is an hour meeting with one of our board members. And that basically goes over how we're structured, how our inside of our chapter is structured with the chapter leader, the membership director, the executive officer, that kind of stuff. Talks about the membership process, talks about what we give you to support you as opening your chapter, from all the marketing materials and that kind of stuff. And then you go out and get your first 10 people at a minimum. And then once you get those 10 paid members, then we officially launch your chapter. So backing up to that is when you have that first call, we highly encourage you to have at least 3 or 4 members on that call because then they can help you go out and get the rest of the members.
Yeah, so, I will tell you, it is quite an exciting day when you become official.
It is. It
is. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So you had also mentioned that when we were talking about perks, and this is my favorite perk, that you can book a spot on GBN Live.
Yeah.
Only open to members,
That's
right?
correct, yes.
So how does a member go about doing that?
It's very simple. You just go to gbnonline.com/live. You pick your day and your time, and we make it very simple for you. And I'll hold this up here. You probably can't see it. Maybe you can read it a little bit. But what we do is we have hosts like myself and Tracy here, and we provide you with the questions up front. And we do that for 2 reasons. Number one is so that you can stay on track, and we make sure that we cover what we need to cover. But number 2 is so that you're prepared. Because if you're prepared for the interview, then you're going to be able to have those responses up front. And understand that we're not naive to know that you may have a question on there that just doesn't pertain to you. Like we had a guy a couple of weeks ago that was an insurance guy, and we asked him a question about commercial insurance, and he doesn't write commercial insurance. And the question was, he was a property and casualty insurance, and we asked him about covering our employees if they were to take our company vehicles. And he said that would fall under commercial insurance, and he didn't write that. So he struck through that question, I guess, before the show, so we were able to fill it with something else. So it makes your conversation go a lot better, and it makes me prepared, so I know what questions you're going to ask me, so I can make sure that I can answer them appropriately.
Right. This is in no way intended to be a hard interview.
No, not at all.
It's to make your business look good. It's to make you look good. You know, we want it all to go smoothly, and it's a conversation. You know, and that's what I tell people too when they come in. I say, we're just having a conversation about your business.
That's it.
You know, so, you know, it's all.
And we should be doing this as networking people anyway, having a one-to-one to where we discuss our business.
Absolutely.
And that's basically all it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can get in touch with Todd Cartner at 843-492-5052. You can also get in touch with him through GBN. You can do gbnonline.com. Todd, before we go, I would like to ask you, why is, in your opinion, which I know, why is referral marketing so important, and why did you choose GBN?
Well, I think that you touched on it earlier, where you had said that referral networking is, you know, you're going to get that business. You know that you're almost closed when you get there. So when I was with another networking organization before I became a realtor, I had a marketing firm. And with that group, 32% of my business came out of that group my first year with them. That's a huge amount.
Yeah,
so you're taking one aspect of your marketing, of your business, of how to do your business.
Right.
And a third of that is coming out of one source. So to me, that was a no-brainer. I needed to be in a networking organization. As a realtor, I will also tell you that it's equally important, and to me, maybe a little bit more important than me getting a referral to buy or sell someone's home, is the resources. You touched on that as well. So if I have a client that calls me and says, hey, I've got a plumbing issue, I know I can call this plumber right away and he'll be there shortly.
And you say, I got a guy.
I know you got it. I got a guy. Right, exactly. So that is just as important.
Yeah.
What drew me to GBN was its structure. When I first attended the first meeting I went to before I took over, at the beginning of the meeting, like we all do as well, is we go over our philosophy. And when I heard friends first, business second, I was like, wait a minute, what is that about? Because I'll be honest with you, my first thought was, well, this is just a socializing group. Friends first, business second, we're going to socialize and hopefully the business comes. But once I learned what it meant by getting to know, like, and trust each other, and then we become friends with each other, the business part comes automatically. And that is so true, it's so important. And I will tell you that our chapters that truly believe that and truly practice that, it's crazy. We've passed over $63 million worth of business since I took over across the organization. And we don't publicize that
That's amazing.
much. But to me, I step back and look at, could we have been doing this, or could our members have done this much business without GBN? Absolutely, 100%. Because people need services, they're going to find somebody to do it. But I like knowing that I have people that I can rely on. If I see your face every week, I know you're going to take care of my client. Because if you don't, I can address you every week.
Right.
And so that builds that trust. That builds that business up, and it makes that business more dependable and held more accountable.
Absolutely.
So to me, GBN's a no-brainer.
Yep. I agree.
Especially when we lock in your rate.
I agree. Yeah, I didn't know about that perk. I'm pretty excited about that. That's pretty good.
Your rate will never go up.
Yeah, I'm going to bring that up at my next meeting.
Please do.
I will. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Todd. And thank you for watching today. We're happy to be back and online with GBN Live. Because remember, if it's Wednesday, it's GBN Live. So we'll see you next time.